From the microwaves you use to heat your food, to the video games you play on your phone, nearly everything you use in your life revolves around code. Confusingly enough, each device you interact with could be using one of the 25,000 programming languages in existence. There are so many coding languages that even a veteran in the industry can quickly become overwhelmed. So, I made this video to give you an overview of the most popular coding languages being used today. In order to make this video as easy to understand as possible, I'll be separating the programming languages into categories. The first category is what I call the C languages. The C languages all began with a programming language called C. C is a low-level programming language that translates efficiently into assembly language. This is good because assembly languages translate near perfectly into instructions the CPU can understand. Because of this, both assembly language and C are super fast. C had one big problem, however. It was less useful because it was not an object-oriented programming language. Thus, C++ was born. C++ combined the speed of C and the usefulness of OOP to make games like Counter-Strike and apps like Photoshop. A fun fact you might not know is that ++ means to increment by 1 in code. So, C++ was just C with some added functionality. So, it might not surprise you that D is just a re-engineering of the C++ programming language. D is mostly used for writing operating systems. Rust is another language that was written because of C++. It was created because programmers had serious issues about C++'s memory management performance. Tcl is yet another one of the C languages. Programmers use it to prototype their C codes by embedding it into their programs. C# is a language that might fool you. Though it has a C, it is not one of the C languages. It's actually a part of a different group, Microsoft's .NET initiative. Once again, C# is quite a fast language and is actually the main language used in Unity, a game engine available to the public. Speaking of .NET languages, Visual Basic and Visual Basic.NET are both part of our next group, Microsoft.NET languages. Visual Basic.NET was created to replace its predecessor, Visual Basic, and is used to create applications for Windows. Our next few languages are in the application development field. Basically, these languages are used to create apps for Android and iOS. Objective-C was the main language used for Apple apps until the next language came out, Swift. While it has mostly been replaced for creating apps, Apple still uses Objective-C for their operating system. Apple began using Swift for their apps because it is nearly 2.6 times faster than its counterpart. On the other side of the aisle, we have Android applications. The main language being used is Java. Java is a multi-purpose language that is pretty much everywhere. It's on gaming consoles, phones, the internet, even Minecraft was programmed in it. Java does have some major flaws that another language, Kotlin, was designed to overcome. Kotlin's main issue is that it is slower than Java and has a steeper learning curve. One language that has been blowing up in the last few years is Dart. This language has gained massive popularity because it is compatible with both Android and Apple phones. Next, we have website languages. A lot of code goes into what you see when you visit google.com or Pornhub. JavaScript is perhaps the most notable as it works to make websites interactive and beautiful. Netflix, PayPal, LinkedIn, and Uber all use JavaScript. Website applications like Google Docs and Gmail are created using languages like PHP, Perl, and Ruby. Ruby is also used to make web applications, but it is a multi-purpose language, so it can be used for many other things including data analysis. To make websites like these run even faster, a scripting language named Lua is used. While C++ was used to create Photoshop and several other Adobe applications, Adobe themselves invented their own language called PostScript. This language is used to specify the specific layout a printed page will have. This next category is what I call the big nerd languages. These languages are used to compute, analyze, and store data. Standard ML, for example, is a general-purpose language that is popular among scientists who like to prove theorems. Have you heard about Julia? No, not the person. I'm talking about the programming language. Julia is used for numerical analysis and computational science. Why was it named Julia? Alan Edelman, the creator, says that a friend of his told him that Julia would be a good name for a programming language. Definitely not a girl he just never got over, right? Next, we have Programming Language 1. IBM created this language in the early 1930s as an alternative to assembly language. Today, it is still used in the scientific, engineering, and business industries of the world. MATLAB is the next language, and while it is popular for data visualization and analysis, It is very expensive. It allows plotting of functions and data as well as implementations of algorithms. The next language is SQL, and it has only one purpose: to query databases. This language is used in finance, science, and pretty much anywhere you might want to store and obtain data. PL/SQL is an extension for SQL that overcomes the limitations that SQL has in the procedural department. Transact SQL is yet another extension for SQL, but was released by Microsoft. The last language in the big nerd group is R. Statisticians and data miners use R to create graphics for analyzed data. These are the languages that were created by multi-billion-dollar companies to solve specific problems. First in the list is Apple's Object Pascal. Based on the original programming language Pascal, Apple made this extension to compensate for Pascal's lack of OOP functionality. The team that created Object Pascal was led by Larry Tesler, the guy who invented copy and paste. Next in the list, we have Go by Google. As you might guess, Google reads a ton of data from web pages. That's where Go comes in. Go is a language specially optimized just for reading tons of texts on the internet. Finally, we have Hack by Facebook. Contrary to its name, this language is not used in hacking. Worth noting, however, is that it allows programmers to use both dynamic and static typing. Speaking of hacking, did you know that Python is the language of choice for hackers? Python is especially well known for its scripting and automation abilities, which serves ethical hackers quite well. Our next group is composed of the many languages used in the business industry. Fortran is one of these and is actually the oldest programming language alive. Some companies that use Fortran are Nvidia, GE, and Intel. Up next, there's Haskell. Haskell is a functional programming language that is mainly used for business logic and data analysis. After that, we have RPG. Nope, this isn't used to create a rocket-propelled grenade, but instead this language uses a report program generator for business applications. Here at number 36, we have COBOL. COBOL is one of the oldest languages out there and is used for business, finance, and administration. Both the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration in the United States use this language. ABAP is next. This language is pretty boring, but it's used for creating reports from SAP, a software company that creates applications to manage business operations. Yet again, we have another language that accesses, manages, analyzes, and reports statistical data. This language is called SAS, and I've never heard of it. The final language in the business group is Erlang. This language was created for real-time systems like instant messaging or e-commerce. Whenever I mention computer science to people, the first thing they always talk about is artificial intelligence. This next group is comprised of all the languages involved in AI. To start off, we have Lisp. Lisp is actually one of the oldest high-level languages in the world. It is used for AI because it supports the computations of symbols very well. Next, we have Logo, a watered-down version of Lisp. This was created so that students could learn the language easily and concentrate on more important topics and theory. Speaking of students, our 42nd language is Scratch. This innovative language shares programming with kids through the use of physical blocks that represent types of code. Next up, we have Prolog. This language was created for the AI domain, but nowadays it is most taught in schools and used for research. Scheme is the next language, and it was actually derived from Lisp. However, programmers also use it to develop drivers and graphics cards. I could not find a group for these last 5 languages, so here they are in the other group. Groovy is the first of these 5. This language was created to work with Java to make things happen more easily and faster. Next, we have Ada. This language was named after Ada Lovelace, who was credited with being the first computer programmer. This language has been used for missile control, payroll processing, and air traffic control. At number 47, we have G. This is maybe one of my favorites, as it honestly is pretty awesome. G is used for controlling automated machine tools to do the same thing over and over and over again. Ladder logic is a neat language used by engineers. This coding language creates a diagram based on circuit diagrams of relay logic hardware. Scala is a language that was invented purely to show programmers that functional and object-oriented programming could be fused together in one language. Besides that, I don't know much about it. Here at number 50, we have Bash. Bash is a command language within Unix that interacts with an operating system. This language is super versatile and quite useful for making systemic changes. That is a lot of coding languages for just one video. So as you can see, it requires a ton of hard work to make a quality video, and I only have like 20 subs. So if you enjoyed watching this video and want more videos just like this, consider subscribing to my channel.